What's up?
Howdy.
How we all doing?
Well, here.
I think we are.
Yes, sir.
What's up, everyone? Hope everybody's having a beautiful, beautiful day. We're here, Wednesday.
Yep. Yeah, fresh off a Sunday show.
Yeah, we just saw you guys on Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We're going to be back again next Sunday. Of course, keeping these shows with you guys.
Yep, 10:30 every Wednesday, Sunday, p.m. Pacific time.
That's what we do.
Hell yeah. You folded a napkin, Michael? What the fuck was it?
I had a bunch of shit on my desk that I had to put to the side because it was in my way.
You shit on your desk?
Yeah, I use this as a
Oh,
toilet
yeah,
all
same.
the time.
Yeah, same. Yeah, so if you're watching, stick around. We have a big interview with the boy Big Abe Rangel.
Juicy Abe.
Juicy Abe.
Which is obviously the name of our show. Shout out to Abraham. He's about to talk some real shit for you guys.
Hell yeah. We got some light news, not a whole lot going on, but there's always something going on.
Before we start, most important news is Jose in chat just pointed out, I am the Drake of Oxnard.
Yeah, the difference is you don't have any children.
Well.
That you know of. Well, neither did Drake for quite a while.
Yeah. Abram's the only reason I'm here. Same, bro. Without Abram, I wouldn't be here. I'd be crying in the
I'd be where we are.
I'd be crying in the shower, fetal position. But
yeah,
enough of what I do on my day, on my time off.
That's my all my free time, my hobbies, my job sometimes.
Yeah,
boil yourself like a turkey in the tub.
Like a lobster.
Oh yeah, are you guys all doing a turkey for Thanksgiving, presumably, or are you gonna do something different?
I am doing a turkey.
I'm gonna do a vegan turducken.
So you get a vegan deer and then you put it in a vegan duck.
I guess we're like doing a turkey, but like we're doing it differently. Like we're gonna cook it with like an air fryer instead of like traditionally.
Jesus Christ!
I'm trying to work on Thanksgiving, bro. I want that holiday pay.
Hell yeah! Honestly, because like, I mean, we can't even have any family over really. So it's
yeah, exactly.
What's the point? We're still gonna eat, but
right.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a normal Thanksgiving. So might as well just might as well make some. Yeah, no grandmas. So might as well make some money.
More food will probably go to waste overall.
Yeah.
You want to kick? Yeah, let's kick it off, man.
All right, let's do it. The first couple we have here before our interview is quick, kind of more recent news. Last show we touched on how Jeremy Corbyn was suspended from the Labour Party. Now they've undone his suspension and like reinstated him to the Labour Party, but they removed his both his ability to be like an MP, so actually hold public office, and he still can't be the leader of the Labour Party either. And this is from, if you're looking at the tweet, it's Keir Starmer, he's now like the head of the Labour Party, and he's the one that cast a suspension on Jeremy Corbyn unjustly. He says, in those circumstances, he's alluding to his other tweets before, accusing Corbyn of anti-Semitism for not supporting the apartheid state of Israel. In those circumstances, I have taken the decision not to restore the whip to Jeremy Corbyn. I will keep this situation under review. And to me, this really just shows, like, at least before with the suspension, they could argue, like, oh, okay, we're suspending him because he's a legitimate harm. He's anti-Semitic, even though those claims are total bullshit.
It's unfounded claims.
Yeah, but at least if he's suspended, it's like, okay, that's like, it seems like they're taking the action that would be, but now they have him like in this weird ground where he's not suspended, but he also holds no power. Yeah, so it's like they're purposely
he's in this purgatory of being able to do nothing, but also you can't be like, oh, you still have him suspended. Like, they're like, oh, hands off.
We just don't like you.
Yeah.
They just don't like any sort of labor-based fucking or
Well, it
real
shows
like
all
real
their
labor.
claims of anti-Semitism are bullshit because, yeah, they would have just kept him suspended or something, but this weird, like, middle ground that they're doing, it's clear they just don't want his brand of politics to take over and have power in the Labor Party.
They want the
So
Labor
they've done
Party to
this.
be watered down into some fucking neoliberal like shithole. They don't want like an actual
Yes.
Labor Party.
No. Yeah, so that's they've totally unveiled, not that they didn't unveil themselves before, but come on, this is, and in my opinion, Jeremy Corbyn should just straight up leave the Labor Party now. That's the big dick move.
Yeah.
I don't know what comes after, but like, I mean, it's what Bernie should have did too. Like when they disrespect you like this and show that there's no way you can even make piecemeal change.
You gotta
Fuck
take you and your base and get the fuck out. Show them that you're serious.
While you have momentum, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, because if he waits any longer or like capitulates to them and is like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm gonna work within you guys even though you're not giving me power. Like he's just gonna concede all that to them. It's not worth it. But we can move from that. Just wanted to bring that up. Condemn the garbage Labor Party and solidarity to Jeremy Corbyn and the socialists of the UK.
Stupid, isn't it?
It is stupid.
Quite stupid.
We have a BBC one, and I wanted to bring this one up because there's been, and we'll talk about it later, a lot of talk about Trump pulling troops out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But it's, of course, in CNN, MSNBC, etc. It's only talked in a negative light, like somehow that's a bad thing. And we'll get into the semantics of that. Trump's not actually pulling troops out, and
it's
even though that's the right thing to do. But this story didn't get covered, which is pretty goofy. It's from BBC. It says Trump asked for options on strike on Iran nuclear site. President Donald Trump asked senior advisors last Thursday about potential options for attacking Iran's main nuclear site, U.S. media report. The advisors warned him that military action could spark a broader conflict. No shit. The White House has not commented on the accounts of the meeting. It took place a day after the global nuclear watchdog said Iran's enriched uranium stockpile was 12 times what was permitted under a 2015 nuclear deal. Keep in mind the deal that we came to agree with them and then fucking tore up and backed out of. So they have every right.
Yeah, dude. It's such a fuck situation. Like they're like the IAEA, the international whatever for energy or whatever, like the people that like deal with this stuff said that Iran was following the deal to a T. Like they were, perfectly following the deal, and we were returning the money that we stole to them on the other side of the deal. And then Trump's just is like, no, tears up the deal, and now look at this. So I mean, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Can we skip down to
Having fucking my shit was about to fall.
I thought you were gonna show something in your room. But
No, my shit was like.
You're like, look at this, and then you're like moving.
No, it was about to fall, so I was like, oop.
Can we move down to the paragraph where it starts with last Wednesday? Should be right after those bolded points. Yeah. So last Wednesday, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, published a report saying that Iran's stockpile of low-enriched uranium has reached 2,442, or 5,000 pounds, rather, 5,385 pounds. Far above the 202 limit set under the nuclear deal, and theoretically enough to produce 2 nuclear weapons, which, once again, I'll point out, they have every fucking right to, and if anything, it's the fucking morally right thing for them to do.
Yeah,
it's going to prevent us from trying to invade their country.
Exactly. It's the smart thing to do, because they can finally like push back and be like, we have this nuke, we could end everything right now, don't do it.
One for LA and one for New York.
And we were just the other day, we were in the Discord call talking about that famous video of Mos Def talking to fucking
it was Hedges and Salman Rushdie.
Yeah, fucking, and Mos Def was just like, basically his whole thing was like, why can't why can't they join the club? Like, why can't they provide this buffer from the United States coming and fucking with them? And that was from like what year? Like what? Like 20?
Oh, yeah, it was the Obama years for sure. Early to mid Obama years.
Yeah. So for him, yeah, he was just so on point then, and to just see everything getting fucked up now.
Yeah. We can
They have like
move from
100%
this.
the right to like protect themselves. And they
Yeah, I mean,
should.
like, well, the whole idea
Oh,
is
yeah.
Keep us
like,
from
who are they
fucking
gonna
with them.
actually use them on?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as, well, if we want to get like an analogy, like that was Libya's whole thing. Is Gaddafi built nukes, and he straight up said this is like, I built them so that they don't invade my fucking country.
Mhm.
And the second he gave them up, they fucking went in and toppled him. It's that easy. But yeah, I just want to bring that one up because it's like, man, shame on us for backing out of that deal, for one, and two, like, yeah, all that press for Trump leaving Afghanistan, but none of this for Trump like considering bombing Iran. Like,
I mean, yeah, the troops, him pulling the troops were like all over the
Oh, yeah,
media,
that's-
and that was like the first one that I saw, but this one got swept under the rug.
oh yeah, yeah, because they'd rather attack Trump from the right for some reason,
Yeah,
rather
they rather
than from the left.
Yeah, they rather do everything in their power to just attack Trump because he's Trump than be like, you know what, this isn't a bad thing. I'll give you credit for this.
Can we bring up
I
the
mean,
Instagram post, Carlos? Sorry.
Yeah.
And you guys can talk on this one too, because this
Yeah,
one's
I
your area.
had a
Yeah.
little bit of something to say about this.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead and read the story because I was just gonna read a little bit from the VC Star fucking bullshit.
Sure, I'll read from the post here.
Yeah, read from the post first.
I'll do the poster for those that can't see, and then I'll read the comments. The poster says, honoring the life of Austin Manzano is on Saturday, November 21st at 2 p.m. near 127 West Calle La Sombra, Camarillo. Come learn about Austin and the ongoing history of police brutality against people undergoing a mental health crisis. Their Instagram is @OxRevStudy. Their phone is 805-230-4266. And here from the comment section here that they posted. This Saturday at 2 p.m. near 127 Calle La Sombra, in front of the Bradford Apartments, we'll be honoring the life of Austin Manzano, the young man killed by Ventura County sheriffs during a mental health crisis. We will be near the location he was shot, sharing insight about Austin we have learned from connecting with his father, as well as connecting police brutality to the corrupt economic and political system currently in place. Speakers will read from the newest Zion by Revolutionary Student News, which covers the stories of other victims of police brutality, students' perspectives on mental illness. Could you actually scroll down there, Carlos? And mental health resources. We want to get to know our fellow community members and unite so we can organize against the system that murders us. We need to unite to fight back against the terror the police bring to our streets. Fight the cops, give them hell. It is time to rebel, or it is right to rebel. So hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah! Shout out Oxnard City. They're super cool and they do a lot of stuff here in the city.
That's this Saturday, 2 p.m. 21st at 127 West Calle La Sombra, Camarillo. In case you didn't hear.
And then I spammed it in the chat if you guys are interested.
Awesome.
Christina, thank you for the follow. And so yeah, I had a little bit to read from the VC Star report. You don't need to pull it up or anything. It's kind of bullshit. Which is like the normal for the VC Star. So I'm gonna read a couple little things and we can talk about it or move on, whatever. So starting from the top of the article, they don't obviously report it right, but it goes off. A Camarillo man died on Saturday, nearly 2 weeks after being shot in Ventura County by Ventura County's deputies on October 4th. So they immediately just like start off with being like, oh, he died. They don't want to be like, this man was murdered by cops. Then continuing on, Austin Manzano, 24, died of complications of gunshot wounds of the abdomen, according to the Ventura County Medical Examiner's Office. Why, like, they use this language to like not piss you off that a cop killed somebody.
Complications from getting shot.
Complications from gunshot wounds. It's like, I wonder who gave him those gunshot wounds.
Right.
His death is considered a homicide. Sheriff's officials have said Manzano called 911 at 1:10 a.m. and told dispatchers he was armed and loaded with a handgun and he would begin shooting people in the area unless law enforcement responded, according to the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. And, you know, backstory with this whole thing is like, you know, this was a man, with, like a mental disability. And if we had, you know, like a right and proper mental health system in this country, and, you know, not this shoot first, ask questions later kind of investigative body that is our police force, these situations would almost never happen, you know? And it's really sad to see that we're losing people even in our own community because of a mismanagement of funds, mismanagement of our police, lack of training, and, you know, just, you know, a multitude of different reasons and factors of how this man, you know, sadly passed away.
In a name of reasons that we've been stating for
long now. We talked about this.
We
We talked about this stuff on the show, you know, multiple fucking times. Does anybody else have some words to say? Obviously, you know, rest in peace. You know, gone too soon, and everybody who can make it out to Camarillo on the 21st, this coming Saturday, please do reach out to Oxrev Study. I spammed their Instagram and the phone number provided on the thing in the chat if you want to look at that. Nobody click on that link, by the way. Thank you for the ban. I was about to do that.
As sad as, I mean, it's obviously very sad, but it is good to see people organizing and using the moment too to connect it to obviously all the other shootings and other injustices that are happening. So hopefully more of this kind of organization happens, regardless if more people die or not, because, well, the reality is more people will in the fucking system we live in right now. This is going to keep happening. Like Michael said, we fucking have covered multiple stories where just literally the main factor is just the improper response to a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
It's just super draconian. They just come in and they're like, yeah, when you the whole analogy, if you're a hammer, like every problem looks like a nail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's literally what it is. Like, they're just armed police to the teeth, and you have them respond to every mental health crisis. It's like, of course this shit's gonna happen.
Yeah, we talked about this a bunch, especially with the whole mental wellness checks thing.
Right.
It happens way too often to where, you know, our brothers and sisters with, you know, mental disabilities, or you know, even just, you know, downtrodden and very depressed and feeling suicidal. Yeah, these cops show up and then they just instead of, you know, or cops shouldn't show up. It should be mental health professionals. But when the cops when the cops do show up, they don't understand how to do this because they're barely trained to be police officers, let alone mental health experts. And so their response is, you know, either beat them almost to death and then arrest them, and then, or you just beat or you kill them. You do what
perhaps in like Austin's case, like, just because the way it's set up, like, his death was almost predetermined the second they got the call.
Yeah. Like,
mentally ill guy that says he has a handgun, he's going to shoot people, and then the police have a shit ton of guns and they're mobilizing. They'll, of course, all those guys going in there, their mindset is like, I'm going to fucking shoot this guy. Like, so, and that's what happened. Like,
sad, man.
Yeah, very sad. But yeah, like we said, if you can make it, please do. We would like to work with people from Oxford Study. We've also reached out to the Revolutionary Student News too. So if you're connected with them, we'd love to also link up as well. We think we could be useful.
Yeah.
Let's move from that one so we can get our last one before the break. Yeah.
We're gonna knock this one out so we can get into the break and then bring on our guest. So the big, I guess, big meme right now with the whole QAnon thing is a kind of a big segue, but yeah, the whole QAnon thing. It's kind of a big meme, and there's this really big weird faction of them that are like, Trump is the savior. Trump is arresting all the pedophiles and whatnot. And we have this article here from July of last year. Prosecution of child sex traffickers plummeted under Trump. Beautiful title. Starting off at the top, for many victims, last week's incarceration of sex offender. This is back when he was first arrested and whatnot. Sex offender Jeffrey Epstein represents belated justice after more than a decade of impunity and governmental complicity. Beneath the gloomy surface, however, an even darker picture emerges. Federal prosecutions of those who traffic children for sex dropped 26.7% over the last year. The startling numbers appeared Tuesday in a report from the Transactional Records Access Clearinghouse at Syracuse University. If the present pace of such prosecutions continues, the fiscal 2019 total will be 162 compared to 221 last year, TRAC reports states. The Obama administration dramatically ramped up such prosecutions, climbing threefold from 85 cases in 2009, the year the 44th president took office, to more than 260 during his final year in the White House. While those prosecutions held steady in the first year under President Donald Trump, TRAC's analysis of Justice Department data says they have taken a dramatic plunge every year since. Compared to 5 years ago, the estimate of FY 2019 prosecutions of this type is down 32.2% from 239, the study says. However, prosecutions over the past year are still much higher than they were 10 years ago, up 90% from the 85% reported in 2009.
I figured out the loophole, though. It's because Trump's not arresting these pedophiles. He's personally gunning them down.
Yeah, he's showing up to their houses, and he's like,
Trump is the Punisher.
yeah, he's the Punisher, but for pedophiles.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this article up mostly because QAnon is just one of those fucking psycho, weird conspiracies that, funny enough, always end up being anti-Semitic in some facet. But I think this one's especially funny because it's all tied around this one fucking rich dude who is personally very good friends with Jeffrey Epstein, but somehow he's the savior that's gonna take down all the pedophiles, and all the Democrat baby-eating pedophiles are gonna go down under Trump. And it's, as you can very clearly see through empirical evidence and actual data, less sex traffickers and pedophiles are getting arrested under Donald Trump than Obama, which is one of those demon, sulfur smelling like Democrats. Like, so what's your base? What's your basis for your entire idea?
The weird thing with QAnon is it's like not such an unfounded philosophy too, because really that instinct comes from them thinking like, oh, okay, Trump's the outsider and he's going to shake up things, which a lot of people did feel, or that's the reason they voted for him in 2016 is he went for that whole fake populism thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why I think a lot of people do get swept into QAnon still for other reasons too. But it's like, oh, they think Trump's somehow like this, outsider guy, businessman. He's not a politician. But as we all know, he's done everything to fucking serve the elite.
He's the class
ridiculous.
of people who own the corrupt politicians.
Exactly. Yeah, he's a layer below them. He's even worse.
We're just getting more direct corruption.
Yeah.
Straight to the source.
What I think makes him worse is that he has no ideology. He just does whoever the last person in the room tells them. He's like, oh, okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like he's very influenced from.
Absolutely.
If you tell him something that makes it sound like, if it sounds good enough in his ears, just do it. Like he doesn't. That's what makes him dangerous. Is like he doesn't have like a set of ideas. It's just whoever makes the best argument. He's like, okay, we'll do that.
As independent. Right?
Well, look who filled in his ideology when he joined and when got into office. It's all the established institutions at their worst. Like the military-industrial complex stepped in, and they're like, now all of Trump's opinions on the military are all like, right-wing war hawk fucking opinions for the most part.
Yeah, Bolton, McConnell, all of them. They got in his head and was like...
Not that he did or didn't believe that before. It's just he'll say whatever they want now.
Mm-hmm. He's a puppet.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away blame from Trump. Trump's still a terrible person, but he's just like, you gotta understand that he's just like this vacuum of just nothingness. He's still a shitty person, and he still has blood on his hands. He's a war criminal, and he just
The whole system is the clarinet. He is just the reed that gets interchanged within the clarinet. Like he's an interlocutor or whatever.
But yeah, that's all I really wanted to bring up from that, and I think we should go ahead and hop into our break. We're gonna hop into our break, play a song for you guys, and then when we come back, we'll have a Brahm on. Do you guys endorse communism? I'm a big fan of communism. Yeah.
Communism with the small c, sure, 100%.
Well, actually, I'm an MF Doom fan, so you have to spell communism in all caps.
Yeah.
Due to the communist flag in the back. Yeah. I don't think I'd call myself a communist because there are very many roots.
I'm not a Mao reformist.
Yeah, exactly. There's very many like roots to get to communism, and I'm not really sure where I fall. But I do agree with the communist idea of a moneyless, classless, borderless society where everybody has the freedom to do as they please, and yeah.
And I think we all, at minimum, believe that workers should take over their workplaces and that we should reorganize society. So call it whatever you want it, but it's just not what we're doing now. It's antithetical to what we're doing now.
Yeah.
All right, break time?
Yeah. We're going to go into a quick break. Stick around and ask questions, man. We can respond to you by typing or whatnot. So yeah, we'll be back. Let's get the cameras cut. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? We're back.
What up? We're gonna get.
We're
So yeah,
still
we're
alive.
we're back. We're bringing a Brahmin really quick. We have a cool little interview going on for you guys. So we all ready?
Yeah, we ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Brahmin, can you hear me? Can you hear?
Hear ya.
Cool.
Okay, we got you. Cool.
Hang on. Let me put this in. All right. Headphones plug in.
Keep it back in here.
Yeah.
Capitalism, baby. We really should make capitalism a banned word in our chat.
It
Just
can
kidding.
definitely be done.
No, we gotta allow. I mean, yeah. There's too many times
Freedom
to
of
use it
speech.
ironically. Yeah. Oh, that too. I think I believe in that. All right, Abraham, we got you. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, turn on your camera.
You have
whenever
your
you're
webcam?
ready.
Boom.
Okay, there we go.
Boom. Okay. Hello.
Hello. How you doing, Abraham?
Good. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I'm Abraham, Big Abe Rangel, or Abram, as these fine peeps call me, or as the rest of my family calls me, as in Spanish. And I'm here for the guest interview today.
Yeah, we usually call you Big Juicy Abe. So you.
But Abram is more more proper, right?
Yeah.
So
Spanish,
everyone else
at
is
least.
wrong.
H
I
time.
just wanted to have you confirm that yourself.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah,
Either
too
way
many
is
people
fine.
be like, it's Abraham. I'm like, shut the fuck up. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Big Abe was a nickname given to me in high school, actually.
Oh, I know.
Hey.
I know, Abraham. I'm the one that. No, I'm kidding. after that night in Cabo.
Cabo Wabo.
Right in Cabo.
So let's jump into this. What do you want to share with us today?
All right. Today, I'm going over an important event in U.S.-Mexico relations, one that happened last month. And we see the screen up.
Yep.
Pull up the AP article. We're going to be discussing the arrest of former Mexican Secretary of National Defense Salvador Cienfuegos Zepeda. He was arrested here last month in LAX. Carlos, may you bring up the AP article? The screen share, please.
We got it up on stream.
Remember, we have the stream in Discord, Abraham.
Yeah,
If you need
can
to.
join.
You
can
got to
do
join
it.
it on Discord.
Discord. All right, watching stream. All right, now. All right, show it to the live stream.
Yeah, it's up.
Yeah,
It's up.
it's up for the stream. So you can just get started.
Not seeing on the Twitch end, but that's fine. All right, so last month, Cienfuegos was arrested in LAX. He was arrested on charges of conspiracy to manufacture, distribute, and import narcotics, so cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana. And he was arrested by DEA agents as he got off a plane in LAX, and he was promptly taken into custody. And next day he had an initial court hearing in LA.
It must suck to get
And I'll go
arrested
to
by
the-
the people that hired you.
Right.
As a matter of fact. All right, now for the details of the arrest, on to the indictment letter. There we go. Right there. There we go. All right. So according to the DOJ, per indictment, he was accused, as per the time frame, of helping the H2 cartel, which is a splinter faction of the Beltran Leyva organization, in the time frame between 2015 and 2017. So as mentioned, he was arrested and charged with drug trafficking, in addition to money laundering, including bribery. And as per the indictment letter, he accepted bribes and it introduced the members of the H2 cartel to more officials. Textbook corruption. And so, sorry.
You good?
There we go. All right. And so this was all under his tenure as Secretary of Defense, when he reported directly to previous President Enrique Peña Nieto.
Right.
And further details, he assisted the H2 cartel in securing maritime shipment, as well as fighting against rival cartel organizations.
You're cutting out.
Yeah, we're kind of losing.
We got most of that.
All right,
though.
right here.
Yeah, we
Right,
got
let me
most
say
of
that
it.
again. All right. He directed operations by the army against rival cartel factions such as the Gulf Cartel and the Sinaloa Cartel.
Wow.
And essentially protecting them. And their cartel leader, Juan Francisco Patron Sanchez, before the arrest of all the Beltran Leyva brothers, he was the second highest ranking member below the brothers.
Right.
And although he was killed by Mexican Marines in February of 2017, and that killing caused a bit of a stir back then, as he was gunned down by a helicopter with a minigun.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would have been a big
But-
controversy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds kind of
cause
cool
a
though. No.
big dilemma there.
Yeah.
Yep, he was hunted by the Navy, which I'll get to that later. All right, and as for the reaction, so go back to the AP article. This prompted a fallout in Mexico, negative reaction, as AMLO, the Mexican president, López Obrador, he wasn't well aware of the fact that they were going to arrest him. 2 weeks prior, he was informed that by the U.S. ambassador Christopher Landau that Cienfuegos was under investigation. And also, the indictment letter was filed in August of 2019, and it wasn't unsealed. And it was unsealed when he was arrested. And Mexico's foreign minister Marcelo Ebrard was only informed of the arrest when it / after it happened, including AMLO as well.
So that makes it way more interesting.
Yeah.
Because now you have the obvious inference here. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like the obvious inference. Well, obviously before the information we get is, well, obviously it's a top-down like thing in Mexico because it goes all the way up to Peña, but did this through, purposely, they said they had done the indictment in August, and now Lula, or
Yep,
not Lula,
2019.
of last year. And Obrador had no idea that they were going to do them until, you said 2 weeks prior?
Yes.
Yeah, so that, to me, that says the U.S. is covering up its ass. 100%.
Yep. All right. Now back to the fallout part. So diplomats and the government were furious about the arrest for not giving prior information. And as to why this is shocking, it's part of this. As to why this is shocking, the arrest is the former Minister of Defense, and over there, the Army is seen as a highly trusted institution, and they're the main crime-fighting force against the cartels in the drug war.
Right. Which just totally proves that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
Yep. And the Secretary of Defense reports directly to the President of Mexico.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so it seems more than likely that they went after him because either he was going to leak some more information that was going to go some other way, or somehow it was going to compromise not just Mexican officials, but obviously officials in the United States too.
Yep. And as to how they got this info, this was based on thousands of intercepted BlackBerry messages that were obtained by the DEA.
BlackBerry messages.
Yeah. Yep. Using burner phones.
Oh God.
How the cartels do it.
And me.
Burner phones.
Yeah.
That's how I do
It's
it.
just so funny because it's just very stereotypical. Like
Yeah, just that, like when you think burner
like,
phone, it's just
yeah.
Atlanta. Yeah. No.
So, did you want to touch up in like any like opinions that you may have had, or?
Now here's for AMLO's opinion. He used the U.S. rightfully so, but double standard. Like why weren't they informed? Why did they hide this? Why couldn't they have told them prior so that Mexico could start an investigation on him?
Right.
Yeah, and what about any other DEA officials who may have been involved against the government of Mexico and working with the cartels? There'd certainly be instances of corrupt DEA members helping the cartels, as narcos Mexico likes to put it.
Right. At the very least, if we gave any kind of aid to the army, that's already shows that we're an aid to the cartels. Because, yeah, as you said, the armies were literally just in conjunction with them. So, yeah, it's 100% we colluded with them. There's no doubt.
Well, might not entirely be the case as of now. The security relations between them.
Literal evidence because we arrested them.
Between security relations and AMLO is considered reviewing their commitments to fighting the cartels.
Right.
And it's also an embarrassment for him because he's been relying on the army more as a public community relations.
Right.
Helping in infrastructure projects, community service, helping the people, all that. Right. And as for the details on the manhunt for the H2 cartel leader, Patron Sanchez, as I mentioned, he was gunned down by the Marines, or controlled by the Navy. And in Mexico, the military is divided into two cabinet departments: the Army, the Secretary of Defense, which controls the Army and the Air Force, and the Secretariat of the Navy, which controls the Navy and the Marines. And actually the U.S. has better coordination and relations with the Navy in crime fighting against the cartels.
Crime coordination. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so in every way they have their hands in it. The U.S. has their hands in it, it seems.
Yeah.
Well, how long has this been going on for now?
In the time frame per indictment, it was 2 years until
Right.
the Navy came in and killed Patron Sanchez. And the evidence for this actually emerged in El Chapo's trial. And as mentioned, there were the Sinaloa cartel were rivals against the Beltran Leyva organization. And the Beltran Leyva organization was originally part of the Sinaloa cartel until the arrest of Alfredo Beltran Leyva, one of the brothers, and they split because they saw El Chapo responsible for failing to protect him. And thus they sided with their rivals, the Juarez cartel and Los Zetas.
So what do you think are some larger things that maybe we could just take from this, Abraham? What's your overall analysis of this?
So far from when I first read this, this probably isn't a systemic case of corruption in the military. Perhaps more of an individual case. Back to Cienfuegos, a couple weeks after his arrest in LA, he was taken to a court hearing in New York, in the Eastern District of New York, where El Chapo was tried, and another high-ranking official. We'll get to him later, and pull up the BBC article. He was deemed a major flight risk and was denied bail. And just yesterday, this happened. Sudden turn of events. The U.S. drops the charges against Cienfuegos. And in a joint statement by Attorney General Barr and the Attorney General of Mexico, they wanted to turn them over because it was straining relations and an embarrassment for the U.S. in arresting him.
Right. So if I could kind of question you first, though, like on that statement you had where you kind of said this maybe is an individual thing rather than something systemic with the military, for instance. So at least in this case, it seems to me, these different individuals, it seems like, maybe it is overall not the military that's culpable in some systemic issue, but at least these, different secretaries of defense, Navy, it seems they're at least beholden to multiple different interests that include, but aren't limited to the, cartels, the, cartels that operate in between within the United States, the Justice Department, so at the very least, it seems there is some cooperation, at least in some, maybe not systemic within Mexico, but at least a systemic problem as far as our relations go.
And a lot of to take it kind of back, like a big part of this whole situation is the war on drugs, which has created these cartels, and the lack of communication between the two countries to work out a better system of how we talk about and handle drugs in both countries is like a very evident issue, and is poking and prodding in these nations and creating a huge issue. So the correct step when looking at this problem is the drugs, and what are we going to do about the drugs?
Yeah. If I could ask you another question,
Yeah.
from that BBC piece, where it says there,
Mhm.
you know, as they had
You
released
can
him.
scroll down more if you want.
Yeah, where it is now is fine. If you go back up, actually, yeah, I don't. Where it says the prosecutor's office said that it had a strong case against Cienfuegos, but that maintaining cooperation
Cienfuegos.
between U.S. and Mexico law enforcement authorities was more important than prosecuting the ex-defense minister. Do you believe that statement at all?
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah, I would err on the side of that's complete and utter horseshit. Do you think their purpose is really to maintain cooperation between U.S. and Mexican law enforcement, which they've already shown by this whole thing that in some way or the other they can have some hold over them? They're claiming that's more important than going after this prosecution. It seems like something else is at play here.
That's what.
Sorry,
The
what was
thing
that?
is, he was trusted among both among the DOJ, DOD, and Mexico for leading the fight against the cartels during the Peña Nieto administration. And just in his last year in office as Minister of Defense, Cienfuegos was actually awarded for Pentagon cooperation award for working for teaming up in the fight against the cartels.
So
And-
definitely not a U.S. stooge.
I was just about to say that's probably the worst part.
I mean, if you get a Pentagon medal, come on. I'm sorry.
Probably down there. Scroll down.
The United. If you're getting a Pentagon medal, the United States definitely has a hand in your
They're
ass.
giving him yeah. I
Well,
mean,
then-
that's as obvious as it gets.
And it may be true that, of course, you know, the U.S. trusted him and Mexico trusted him to lead the fight on the war on drugs and against the cartels.
But if the U.S. side's trusting you, that means you're on the U.S. side.
And also, you know, just because we trust you to lead the war on drugs doesn't mean you should be leading the war on drugs.
But that there should be, yeah. Or as
And,
you pointed out,
exactly. There shouldn't even be a war on drugs.
right.
Perhaps I'll get to that. I'll get to a later part that it's probably more a war against people. Right. And more on the Cienfuegos case. As to why I did this interview is because today he was scheduled another court hearing, but as it is, shockingly, this came out yesterday, and charges were dropped. As to what's going to happen, the judge will review this case. To permit him being handed back to Mexico, either as a free man, but also the U.S. DOJ has given per treaty given the evidence against Cienfuegos, and perhaps they can arrest him and charge him for other crimes, including crimes specific to Mexico, which I'll get. And as for,
If we could kind of let's try to get the last couple thoughts here, so we can move into the next stuff.
were you going to say something?
No, I'm just let's wrap it up here so we can move to the next. Yeah.
All right, now on to the next section. Show the Google Images leak. Cienfuegos is the second high-profile corruption case against this next person, Genaro García Luna, who was the former Secretary of Public Security, equivalent to our Department of Homeland Security here in the United States. and he's seen as the architect of the drug war because he as Secretary of Public Security, led the federal police.
Hmm.
And unlike the military, federal police is utterly despised for the rampant corruption. And go to the indictment letter for Garcia Luna. It's right here. And according to this press release, Genaro Garcia Luna was arrested in Texas 11 months ago, as he held properties both in Mexico and the United States. And as for that aforementioned statement, this is being used again as evidence for one of the charges against him, which is money laundering and bribery.
Hmm.
And in the case of Garcia Luna, he was suspected of accepting millions of dollars worth of bribes in briefcases from the Sinaloa cartel, directly sent by the leaders. And it said they bribed him to not go after the guys at the top, to go after the guys at the bottom and let them run freely, and also direct operations against their rivals. And what else there is, as Secretary of Public Security, he reports directly to the president, which at the time was Felipe Calderón.
Hmm.
His tenure was from 2006 to 2012, he and Calderón were the two men responsible for starting the drug war. But Garcia Luna's crimes also go further back, going back as 2001, when he was appointed the head of the newly created Federal Investigations Agency, equivalent of the FBI, by then President Vicente Fox.
Hmm.
So as of right now, there's nothing against Fox, but it's likely Garcia Luna kept this hidden.
Right.
Yeah. Scroll down to the bottom. Also charged is Luis Cardenas Palomino, who was the Director General of Regional Police. He's responsible for coordinating the various police divisions of the federal police and directing operations. And also Ramon Pequeño Garcia, who's head of the intelligence division of the federal police.
Yeah. So pretty much everyone important. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you said it. They like to go after the small expendable guys at the bottom. That makes them look like they're doing a good job, whereas the people who are actually running the show just continue operating.
Right. They're all getting let off too. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So it is. And unlike the army, why should anybody trust the police, much that give them a reason to respond down in Mexico?
Right.
Yeah, and the corruption goes down to the local level.
Yeah, exactly. No one trusts the police in Mexico at all.
Yeah.
Anywhere. So
As for more on the Garcia Luna case, he's also tried in the Eastern District of New York, the same court place where El Chapo and where Cienfuegos was held.
Hmm.
Right.
Okay, I think
And now there's more.
Is that next link?
Yeah. Where's that next one?
Yep. So that's the joint statement by Barr and and Attorney General of Mexico, Alejandro Gertz Manero. And that was for Cienfuegos, and their reason, as mentioned, was to not cause much of a stir, embarrassment on both sides of the country, and instead hand Cienfuegos over. So now, as we move back on to Cienfuegos, as mentioned, former Secretary of Defense. But even then, his tenure wasn't exactly clean.
Yeah.
As during the Peña Nieto administration, there were 2 scandals related to the military, and even before that, there was always rumors of him and dealings with corruption, even before his tenure as defense secretary. The DA had always heard those rumors, and based on evidence emerging from the El Chapo trial, that's when they decided to move in and arrest him. Yeah. So under Cienfuegos' term, there were 2 scandals. The first one was the Tlatlaya massacre, which was the extrajudicial killing of about 22 cartel members, and they were given direct orders by their local battalion commander to move at night and take them all out, effectively giving them an order to kill.
Mm.
Yeah. And this info is coming from a segment I heard on Democracy Now!, which featured Anabel Hernandez, a well-known investigative journalist on there. Go back to the BBC article. Yeah. Back to the top. And so Cienfuegos wanted to cover them up, and he's alleged to say, my soldiers will not be treated as criminals for the sake of protecting the integrity of the army. But what comes around goes around. And actually, this quote I mentioned was for another case. 6 years ago, I'm sure if nobody's familiar, there was a mass kidnapping in the town of Iguala, Mexico, where 43 students were kidnapped, and most likely eventually killed by the cartels. Yep. As to what happened in the background on this, there were students from a rural teachers college in nearby Ayotzinapa in the state of Guerrero.
Mm. And
that school actually has a long history of promoting social activism. And this happened in late September of 2014. The students were raising money to go to Mexico City and, I think twist of irony, go commemorate the anniversary of the 1968 Tlatelolco massacre, right. in which over 300 students massacred by the army.
Right, the army that has such a great reputation now.
Yeah, and back then that was under the authoritarian one-party rule of the PRI.
Right.
Yep. And also further background, perhaps a bigger reason why the students were on their way protesting was to protest the educational reform brought on by Peña Nieto, which is sort of like Common Core. However, it doesn't take into account the various socio-economic backgrounds in Mexico, and they would want the many teachers to be disqualified or downgraded for students' performances. And so these student teachers made their way onto buses, and they were stopped in Iguala on their way to Mexico City, stopped by federal police, and a shootout ensured, and students were shot out, and nearby civilians were also injured or killed, and the federal police took them to the nearby town of Cocula, and the police station in Iguala, where the corrupt cops handed them to the cartel members, where they were likely killed or put into forced labor. And the prime suspect in this is the town's mayor, and this entire investigation surrounding that is widely seen as a cover-up, and nobody accepts it. And there's different reasons why the students were stopped, and one of the theories is that they belong to a rival cartel member, or mistaken for belonging to a rival cartel member, and they were stopped by the federal police, allied to the Guerreros Unidos, which is a faction of the Beltran Leyva organization. The same one that Cienfuegos was accused of helping.
Right.
And back from that brief side note. Now for the role of the army. Another theory is that the local cartel leader had bribed the commander of the 27th Infantry Battalion in order to try to. One theory states that two buses were pre-planted with stashes of heroin. Another states that the previous region belonging to a rival cartel organization. But one thing is for sure is that the army had helped in patrolling the streets,
right,
and searching for students and handing them over to the police. And they also set up roadblocks to prevent the buses from leaving.
Right. So regardless of what method, I mean, it's obvious the army colluded in that case.
Right. That was a setup.
Yeah. We will have to. We're creeping right past the hour mark, Abraham. So we do have to move on from here. We're gonna have to end it here. Unless you have any final thoughts, we can just wrap up in the next minute or so.
Yeah, just a little more. And so Cienfuegos, once he was informed, tried to cover this up with the Peña Nieto administration, and as of now, and as of recently, back in September. So let me start. Last year, a truth commission was formed. What was it? 2 years ago, I believe. A truth commission was formed by AMLO at the demand of the parents of the kidnapped / murdered students, and they're making progress on that, as the special prosecutor's office have issued arrest warrants for federal investigators, local police, and even members of the 27th Infantry Battalion that were alleged or that were said to have involvement, or as witnesses have seen. And so while Cienfuegos won't be tried here in the United States, might be tried in Mexico, with the addition of charges from his tenure. And even before his tenure, there were some allegations of working with the Sinaloa cartel when he was a regional commander for the army. Yep. And so it's potentially charged with breach of trust, covering up corruption, bribery, the same charges that the U.S. presented and indicted him under. Maybe treason for collaborating with the enemy.
Yeah, maybe. And I guess whatever happens, we'll just have to keep updated with it. So,
Yep. And
Abraham, thank you so much for coming on. Though we have to move on from here, though. So we're gonna have
a final thought.
Okay, we're gonna have to end it here, Abraham. So we have to move it on.
Final thought. Since he reports directly to.
Okay, I think we lost him. So, let's go ahead and move on, boys. And thank you. Shout out to Abraham. That was great.
Yeah,
that's good stuff. What's our next piece? Actually, let's take a break real quick.
Yeah, let's do a quick break.
We kind of dragged on a little, so we need to take a little break.
Yeah.
And reset.
Yeah, Carlos, go ahead and play the outro song, and then between the break, I'll pull up a new one. Let's get the cams real quick. We'll be back in a couple of minutes here. Yo,
we're back.
We're back. We are back.
Yeah, thanks to Abraham for coming on the show. We might be able to bring him back on later to give him a proper send off. We got to move on here for right now, so we don't get too far over our time limit.
Thank him for coming on and giving us some information about what's going on in Mexico. We really did appreciate it, and that we hope you guys enjoyed that. But we will continue on to our next.
I also think Abraham lives in Guantanamo Bay because they got some kind of beeper system in his house
some kind of torture system like Abu Ghraib or something.
It's the Harrison Bergeron thing where they put the all the smart people, they put the headphones in their ears that constantly beep so they can never complete a full thought.
I don't know. Maybe I just blocked it out.
All right, let's move into our first post-break article here. This is kind of just jumping on our last stuff from last show, where the theme more or less was kind of, hey, like Joe Biden's pres probably now, so let's look at the reality of that. Who are the people he's picking, and what does that mean? So the first one we have here is from Jacobin. As it reads here on the headline, Joe Biden just appointed his climate movement liaison. It's a fossil fuel industry ally. This is a multi-collabed article. Julia Rock, Andrew Perez, I don't know, but David Sirota, awesome, worked with the Bernie campaign. He was a speechwriter. Check them out. Joe Biden says confronting climate change is one of his top priorities. But today he appointed as his liaison to the climate movement a congressman who has raked in big money from the fossil fuel industry while voting to help oil and gas companies. Following a campaign promising bold climate action, President-elect Joe Biden's transition team named one of the Democratic Party's top recipients of fossil fuel industry money to a high-profile White House position focusing in part to climate issues. On Tuesday, Politico reported that Biden is appointing U.S. Rep. Cedric Richmond, the Democrat from Louisiana, I believe, to lead the White House Office of Public Engagement, where he is, quote, expected to serve as a liaison with the business community and climate change activists, which are two fucking communities that, sorry to say, but there should be no coordination between
their interests
communities.
Their interests are literally diametrically opposed to one another. Like,
unless you're thinking of like the Green New Deal, which of course you can really tie business and, you know, climate change policy, but obviously that's not what they mean. Back to the article. During his 10 years in Congress, Richmond has received roughly $341,000 from donors in the oil and gas industry, the fifth highest total among House Democrats, according to previous reporting by Sludge. That includes corporate political action committee donations of $50,000 from Entergy, an electric and natural gas utility, $40,000 from ExxonMobil, and $10,000 apiece from oil companies Chevron, Phillips 66, and Valero Energy. Richmond has raked in that money while representing a congressional district that is home to 7 of the 10 most air-polluted census tracts in the country. Great.
A real top chap. Real
great guy. He's taken from all the fucking oil and gas companies.
Yeah, I know.
The full gauntlet.
Dude loves him some oil baron money.
No shit.
He has the oil infinity gauntlet.
The oil infinity gauntlet.
He snaps and he just destroys the planet. That's what he does. Richmond has repeatedly broken with his party on major climate and environmental votes. During the climate crisis that has battered his home state of Louisiana, Richmond has joined with Republicans to vote to increase fossil fuel exports and promote pipeline development.
Yes.
He also voted against Democratic legislation to place pollution limits on fracking, and he voted for GOP legislation to limit the Obama administration's authority to more stringently regulate the practice. So, and we can end there because, I mean, that pretty much laid it all out for you.
He's your run-of-the-mill fucking neo-lib who's gonna bend to the will of Republicans in the name of bipartisanship and like decorum, rather than be fierce and militant in the way they go about fixing the very real problem that is climate change. Because they're rich, then it's not gonna affect them. They're gonna be able to go to the Mars colonies and shit. They don't care about us.
Yeah, and it just shows, like, because Trump's whole thing is, he's put people in different positions that are diametrically opposed to, like, Betsy DeVos,
exactly.
fucking heir to charter schools, is going to be the head of the education department.
And yeah, like,
but look, it's not going to be any different with Joe. They got a guy he has 7 of the 10 most air polluted census tracts in the country because he just lets them frack, builds pipelines, increases fossil fuel exports, takes money from all these companies. Yeah. He's opposed to what his job should do.
Yeah, and somehow he's the most qualified guy for the fucking job. Like it's
right.
It's just it's literally brain dead.
Can we move to the gray zone one? And this is to tack on to that one. Same theme. It's from the gray zone. Kevin Gosztola, good stuff too. Biden's transition team is filled with war profiteers, beltway chicken hawks, and corporate consultants. A glance at the Biden-Harris agency review teams should provide a rude awakening to anyone who believed the Biden administration could be pushed to the left. An eye-popping array of corporate consultants, war profiteers, and national security hawks have been appointed by President-elect Joe Biden to agency review teams that will set the agenda for his administration, as we've talked about last show.
Mm-hmm.
A substantial percentage of them worked in the United States government when Barack Obama was president. The appointment should provide a rude awakening to anyone who believed the Biden administration could be pressured to move in a progressive direction, especially on foreign policy. If the agency teams are any indication, Biden will be firmly insulated from any pressure to depart from the neoliberal status quo, which the former vice president has pledged to restore. Instead, he is likely to be pushed in an opposite direction, towards an interventionist foreign policy dictated by elite beltway interests and consumed by Cold War fever. A prime example of this interventionist-minded, establishment-oriented figures filling the Biden-Harris Defense Department agency team is Lisa Sawyer, is one we haven't heard of yet. She served as a director for NATO and European Strategic Affairs for the National Security Council from 2014 to 2015, and worked for Wall Street's J.P. Morgan Chase as a foreign policy advisor. So the worst of the worst.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
It's just the big banks, Wall Street, and fucking NATO just war hawking on Russia's border.
They all had a baby.
Yeah, they all had a baby, exactly.
Anti-Russia, pro-big bank. You gotta love it, man.
Well, here, Sawyer was part of the Center for a New American Securities, quote, task force on the future of U.S. coercive economic statecraft, unquote, which essentially means she participated in meetings that focus on methods of economic warfare that could be used to destabilize countries that refuse to bow to the American empire, like as we've seen in Iran, and we've covered multiple times now.
Mm-hmm.
We can skip down because we've already read about Susan Rice. Let's go to where it says Thomas Greenfield there. Thomas Greenfield has been part of the Albright Stonebridge Group, a global consulting firm chaired by former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright that lobbies for the defense industry. Albright Stonebridge's client list has included the management firm of Vulture Capital's GOP mega donor Paul Singer. When the Beltway insiders teamed up to suck Argentina's economy dry during the country's last debt crisis, then President Cristina Kirchner accused Albright of threatening to fund her opponents unless she ceded to her demands. So, yeah, the guy literally helped try to stage a coup, like an economic coup in another country. So
it's the best of all possible worlds with this Joe Biden administration.
Yeah,
the communist, Marxist, socialists, anarchists are really, really in control of the party, as we can see.
Yeah, not the chicken hogs.
You see, an economic coup has much better optics on it than a much less desirable, bloody, violent coup.
Optics, sweaty. It's fine if we suck their economy dry, sweaty, but no blood, sweaty.
We can move from this. I would recommend checking this article out. It goes at length, a lot more than the what was the last one? Was it the no name one or the one that covered what they had previously for people that went quite at length? This one goes much deeper. It covers all the ones before and some other choices.
It was non-zero, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But we have a tweet from Max Blumenthal here, and we've covered this specific person before, Michele Flournoy. If we could bring that up. Michele Flournoy, the frontrunner to be Biden's Pentagon chief, wrote in Foreign Affairs that the U.S. should have the ability to sink all Chinese vessels in the South China Sea, quote, within 72 hours as deterrence for Beijing's activity in the waters. So we've covered her before. Yeah, she thinks we should have a system that she thinks we should go to war with China. Basically, we should be able to go to war with China, which is nuts.
So she sounds exactly like Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, word for word, what Mike Pompeo thinks. No different on the foreign policy front, which is what her job does. So that's all that matters. And another one, if we could go to the next tweet we have here. We've talked about her. It was also in the last articles we covered. Tammy Duckworth, Democrat from Illinois. This is on Trump's Afghanistan and Iraq troop drawdown, which we touched on earlier. Let's go ahead and play the video. This is her thoughts on this situation.
Wrong thing to do. We want our troops home, but let's not bring them home in body bags. And that's potentially what's going to happen if this president gets his way and puts his own political timeline ahead of our national security. All of the military commanders have
just it's like, it's a possibility that all the troops die in a freak accident, so we should just leave them there. We should actually bring more troops there.
Right. It's a certainty that troops will die if we stay there, so I don't see her point.
Well, yeah. I think I got the perfect screenshot for about how blind that statement was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because her whole point is she doesn't actually care about the troops. All she cares about is resisting Trump, because she wants to be the anti-Trumper.
Yeah, and as we alluded to earlier, like, obviously Trump isn't trying to do anything either. Like, this whole drawdown thing is really just either him and, Eian was talking about this, like, what are they going to do? Are they going to move these troops? They're going to go home, or they're going to go to, like, build up on Russia's border as part of this,
or maybe even China's border.
Yeah, China's border, or
just because he's drawing down these troops doesn't mean he's bringing them home to come live with their families. It could possibly mean they're redeploying to places like Poland, which we saw, I believe, earlier this year or later last year. We drew down the amount of troops that we had, but we just shuffled them around. We didn't actually bring them home. So when you talk about these drawdowns, you have to really just wait until we see what happens with it. Like, we can't, be like, oh, yay, we're going to see our family, or, these people are going to see their families. It's where are these troops going to go, and what are the effects of where these troops are going? Like, what is this going to cause? What is what's the pressure change?
Right. And I think, as we all know, in any case, whether they draw down or not and bring them home, the whole point is anything less than a complete withdrawal from Afghanistan is a joke. Like, a complete withdrawal is the only thing you should do, regardless of what you think is going to happen after. Like, we've been there for 20 years. There's no point in being there anymore.
Like, it definitely needs to be what the people are pushing for.
Yeah. And to play with that, we have a little video to kind of talk about, well, as we know, and one of the only pieces of fucking journalism the Washington Post has ever done was the Afghanistan papers, which I'll let the video kind of do the talking here.
The Washington Post, for the first time in a long time, actually did some pretty amazing journalism about the war in Afghanistan. They basically dug up hidden interviews from 2014 that were suppressed by the government. So there was this big report, the SIGAR report, Special Inspector General Report in Afghanistan. That does not spell SIGAR. I digress. Scratch that. All you need to know is there was a report on Afghanistan, and the responses were not what the military-industrial complex wanted, and so they were just like, X-nay on the report's gay, and then they basically hid a lot of the interviews because they were so damning about what was going on there. So there are people directly involved with the war who are just like, we have no clue what's going on over there. We have no clue what our mission is. We're totally aimless, and we're just there. Now, you guys might hear that and go, well, duh, of course, that we knew that's what was going on. But it shouldn't be like that. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. If we're at a war and we're putting American lives on the line and we're potentially killing civilians over there and we're wasting all this money, you damn well better have some goals. You damn well better have a mission. You better have, an overarching philosophy and an end game and like all that stuff you need to have. But no, they didn't. So the worst possible thing you could think of when it came to the war in Afghanistan, that was the reality. The reality was, no, we're aimless and we're here. We don't even know why we're here. We don't even know what's going on. And it gets even worse than that. So first I want to show you a segment here. This is Sagar from Rising on Hill TV. Let's watch his spiel on it, and then I want to come back and give you more information.
Yesterday, all 3 cable networks went live for more than 10 hours to bring you the riveting rival testimony of the House Intelligence Committee counsels from the Republican and Democrat side. As you can imagine, they disagreed with each other. The Democrats asked questions to get sound bites for Twitter to the Republican one, and the Republicans did the same to the Democrat. And when the pundit class was done salivating over this elite drama over whether it's okay to temporarily endanger Ukrainian military aid, they picked up a story of equal importance, whether the FBI investigation into President Trump was properly initiated, and whether these officials conducted themselves above board. As predicted, MSNBC and the New York Times spun the newly released IG report as vindicating for the FBI. Conservatives pointed out the many documented instances of abuse of power. But both these stories perfectly tell you the obsessions of our political elite. Their bad faith blame games marked as a real struggle over who gets to pull the levers of our American oligarchy. And they utterly pale in comparison to the one that we briefly touched on this show yesterday, when the Washington Post revealed a secret government report which detailed American officials admitting on the record that for nearly 2 decades we were systematically lied to about the war in Afghanistan, and that statistics were manipulated at the request of the White House and the Pentagon to paint a rosier picture. That to this day, we have no idea what we are doing in that country. How much time do you think that got on cable news? I'll tell you the answer. Barely any, because that story broke in the morning before all these very important shenanigans started. If there is going to be a long congressional inquiry, shouldn't it be on this? Shouldn't every single U.S. official who secretly told U.S. government investigators they lied to us come and be forced to admit it to our faces? And if we are to have a long report on the conduct of American government officials and finds failures, recommends fixes like that IG report, shouldn't we have that about a war that has cost us $2 trillion? Impeachment is a 46 issue. I can bet you that this would have 100% support. But sadly, I, like you, know that this will never happen because it implicates everybody. A report released by the Washington Post demonstrates perfectly the bipartisan boondoggle that is the war in Afghanistan. The Obama White House lied to us just as much as the Bush White House, and probably just as much as the Trump White House. There are no cheap political points to be scored, and besides, everybody is making too much damn money. The report really shows in its totality.
The fuck is a boondoggle?
Yeah. To the thing he said kind of at the end there, there's no probably about it. Trump 100%. They've all fucking done the same thing. Like, they're probably about it.
Yeah, I hope we've all learned our lessons to just think Trump is naive in all this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like he may be outsourcing a lot of his decisions, but yeah, it's like he knows. And
I think one of the dumbest parts about the whole like Trump train thing is like they always throw out the thing like, oh, this is the first president that, like no new wars. He's the peace guy, but it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you literally like not know what's going on? Do you not see the wars he's continuing? Do you not
mention the one he's tried to start? Like he's almost started like 3.
Like, not only that, just like all the civilians dead. The U.S. civilians that he killed, the little girl that he killed with his first drone strike that he approved, killed a U.S. civilian that was a small girl. So this idea that Trump is the peace guy, the guy that brokered the peace deal between the Koreas, even though they were already working on it before he got his hands involved and almost got us into a hot war with North Korea. Before any of that, it's just such a weird thing that Republicans try to latch on to.
Yeah.
He also brought up like the money that we put into Afghanistan and our military. What was it? Did it say like 2 trillion? Did he say
2 trillion? Yeah, and increasing because this hasn't ended.
That's just so
and
far.
Like, it just goes to show how much, if we pulled out or cut funds for it, how much it would benefit America as a whole economically as well. Since we spew so much money into
imagine like never going into this war and having like some kind of like strong labor party that dumped that 2 trillion into the United States of America.
Healthcare.
Like we would be such a different country.
Deal.
Like this war is 20 years old, so imagine 2 decades of like economic prosperity.
All 50 states have jobs tied to the military.
Yep. And I think one of the keys to this story, and I think my overarching point, is that Biden is going to be a continuation, of course, of Trump, and Trump is a continuation of
Obama.
Let's bring up the tweet. Carlos brought this up, actually.
Barack Obama.
I saw it on the line,
and it fits perfectly. For those that can't see it, it's a tweet from Barack Obama from 2012, and it says, President Obama, quote, by 2014, the war in Afghanistan will be over, unquote. So
aged very well.
Aged incredibly well.
I'd say this is some prime campaign Obama. Running for re-election.
And when he's making this statement, it's already a 11, 12-year war.
Mm-hmm.
It's already ridiculous at that point, and it's nothing has changed since then.
Continue it, and because of Obama's actions, there are now open slave trading markets in Libya. So,
and he opened the door with the drone strikes, and now I can't remember exactly, but I know there was like that one report where Trump did exceed the amount of drone strikes Obama did, and then they just stopped report. Like, doesn't the government not even report how many civilian deaths by drone strikes are a year now? It's like they don't even tell you.
They must have seen the numbers from Obama and 90% civilian death rate looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
The only reason,
percentage aside, I think the numbers itself were just higher.
Well, if they ramp them up, obviously it mean more.
Yeah. Do we have something after this?
No, I believe that's the end. That's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Okay, we have space for final thoughts.
Something I really jokes aside, before I was gonna say something really dumb. Jokes aside, we obviously shouldn't be in these wars, but the more important part is to forget this weird fake nostalgia that was created around Obama. Like, the Obama years weren't good, but for some reason everybody remembers them being good. Like, it's some really some weird made up nostalgia boner that everybody gets when Obama. Right. And
they need to think of it as Obama is what gave us Trump. So think of the Obama years as what gave us the Trump years.
Obama ran on a lot of promise of being FDR 2.0, and I remember seeing this, and he ended up being Bill Clinton 2.0.
Yes, yeah.
He was Trump in alpha,
yeah.
He is what put in Donald Trump.
Can't have Trump without Obama. That's what it is.
And this is kind of the thing I was going to say is a joke, but kind of not a joke. This all hinges on Obama just having swag. Obama's just he's good in a crowd, so everybody just likes him. But he's a terrible person.
Yeah, Carl said that too, though. It's he had all this momentum in 2008, he was going to be the change candidate, and he was a smooth talker.
Yeah,
he knows how to run a good campaign.
He's a wonderful orator. And it's interesting, when you look, these past 2 elections, what does these people do to win? They run as the populist guy. They run as the outside-in guy. And they win. And so when you get a real outside-in guy like Bernie Sanders, the 2 parties have to be oh, shit, how do we destroy him? Because then our plan doesn't work.
Right.
When you run a real populist and a sea of fake populists, people are going to see right through that. And that ruins their whole strategy.
Isn't that sad? Right. They don't even see him as like an adequate sheepdog.
Yeah, no shit, huh?
Yeah.
It's like Trump, yeah, he's fine. Obama, fine. But Bernie's like, nah, no,
absolutely
no.
no.
Right.
And that's the famous quote from the fucking DNC. They rather lose to Trump than win with Bernie.
Yeah, or the whole Pied Piper shit.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Bernie's trying, he's trying to please him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I think that's the worst part about all this is like Bernie needs to be directing this momentum from his movement like against the establishment.
Right.
Yeah. And sadly, it's too late for any of that.
COVID exposes them as fraud.
Yeah, and that's how we were kind of touching on last show as well.
Yeah, with the end with Bernie and starting with Corbyn, it's like you can't just concede all your shit because once it gets set in motion, that's it, man. You don't have any power. It's that quick.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So we gotta go beyond Bernie.
Yeah, 100%.
If I could go on an aside here, like I know this sounds very depressing, like to take in the fact that the Biden administration is going to be literally nothing different, and they're not going to listen to any of us, and we've lost all our power. But don't let that, just because that is true, like don't try to either neglect it or try to let it destroy you from motivating you to do action.
Don't give up on politics and don't go full black pill. Like, don't just be like, oh, it's all over anyway. Fuck it. Who cares? You know?
Organize.
Fucking change happens when you least expect it.
We've been saying this for the last couple shows. Like, be the change, especially in your locality. Do what you can to make your community the best community it can be.
Yeah, and shit's dark, but like we still gotta, as we started out the top of the show too, the honoring the life of Austin Manzano protest / get together. It's gonna happen on Saturday. Like that's a clean example of looking oppression and fucking bleakness in the face and being like, hey, we're gonna do something about it and actually organize.
Yeah, and do we while we're doing our little like send off like ending part, do we want to bring that post back up just so people can see the screen? And I'm gonna go ahead and spam the information in the chat really quick. You guys should really try to make it here on Saturday if you can.
And if you can't, just amplify, of course. It's
exactly share it.
Do something else.
Exactly, share it. Yeah, do what you can. So yeah, I spammed it in chat. We have it here on screen. Look at it. Go follow them. Go support them. They're super awesome. But yeah, I think if nobody else has anything to say, unless you're gonna keep going, I think we should end it here. I think we had a really good show. Big special thanks to Abram.
Yeah, thank you, Abram, so much.
If you're still
regarding Abram, hold on, just for a quick second.
If we have him, we can. Is that what you're gonna?
Well, I had to bring. I was just gonna bring this up real quick because he wanted to mention this. Regarding what he was talking about, he was gonna say that if prosecutors will extract from Cienfuegos and García Luna, they'll use that against them, or they'll use that against their former bosses. And he also said, plus, the authorities in Mexico have sat on this info as well, according to Annabelle Hernandez. So I just wanted to...
Right.
We didn't really get to...
I think... Yeah, and I think we overall came to the conclusion, like, we do have to sit it out and wait, of course, to see what unfolds there, but it's like... Yeah, the corruption to me seems obvious, the way it runs. And it's like... Yeah, it seems... The people that are truly, culpable for what's happened, the true higher-ups aren't going to suffer any dire consequences.
Okay, so with all that said, special thanks to Bram again. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you're new here and you kind of enjoyed the show or you just got the tail end, you can watch the VOD after. You can check out our YouTube page and our Twitter. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right now. And if you like what you saw, drop a follow. It really helps us. We're always trying to get new people in the community, and it's really cool to see that 14 people are here fucking with us at 12:20 at night. So that's super cool. Special thanks to everybody that showed up, even if you stopped by for the interview, even if you just stopped by for a second, even if you joined and you kind of disagree with what we were saying. Stay a while. Let us explain ourselves. and let's talk about it. If you have any questions ever, feel free to ask it in chat. We're always willing to talk to you guys. And even if you disagree with something we say, talk about it. Maybe we can explain ourselves and
we want to hear people out.
Yeah, we're always interested.
We're not always right. We get stuff wrong.
Oh, I am always correct. 100%.
At least as much as everyone else, if not more.
Yeah.
At least we're trying.
Yeah.
Keep your eyes peeled for merch. That's all I say.
I will not debate vegans. That's all I'm saying. I will not debate vegans.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think I'm gonna make it either.
No, yeah. But please, thank you to everybody. If you enjoy the show, please drop a follow. It really helps us. We're going to go ahead and get out of your faces. As I always say at the end of every show, workers of the world unite, be the change, organize in your locality, make your community the best it can be. Let's get out of here. Let's get the cameras cut and the song playing.
What song?
Oh, shit, I never linked it. Fuck! Here, stay with us for 1 second, boys.
Hold on.
The fourth wall is breaking. Fourth wall.
Hold on, I got it.
Abram, speak.
Ladies.
No.
Ladies,
he's gone.
Ladies, gents, and NBs, play the song I put in staff. Alright, I put the song in staff. Let's get the cameras cut. Boys, girls, and NBs, everybody have a great night. We'll see you on Sunday for our next show, and then after that, Wednesday. Every time at 10:30. So yeah, thank you guys. Have a good night. Play the song, child.
You can't just throw these things at me at the last second and expect everything to go smoothly. Like, what do you think this is?
You gotta listen, we don't pay you at all, so you need to work harder.
Carlos, you own all your labor, so...
No, you don't.
There's no excuses.
All right,
everybody got this shit.
All right, everybody have a great night.
Stay beautiful.
Yeah.
We about to hit it right. Say what? We about to hit it right. Say what? Moth Moses. Blackberry and roses. Yo. Hit the zone with a bit of taste of lemonade. I'm barely getting paid, still living this day to day. And ain't got much to say, but my mind is never silent. Get behind it, too much of that passion, non-aggressive violence. Had my future told one time from this gypsy. She looked at me with a blank stare. She said she'll miss me. What? The rest is history. I knew I'd face death soon. Necropolis, I'm hearing purgatory in the next room. Even the best tunes destabilizing my state stage. I raise my membrane at dangerously high rates. Yo, see these wide shapes moving closer and closer. Skeptical, so I keep my hands close to the holster. I'm in a poster, and those shapes is wide eyes. Just on at the fact, if I slowly, the time flies. You think it's quick? I'm not gonna believe that shit, cause life is like watching paint dry up until it chips. Now just for kicks, digging up some old bones. My heart is the source of love. Yours is a cold stone. Now go home, think twice about what you've done. And I'll sit here and think once of how you used to be the one. Not anymore, you ignorant. I fucking told you. So hit that door, don't wanna see your face. I'm out of the chase, go and stick your flowers in a fucking vase. After some spliff and a few beers, I look in that mirror and I don't know who that dude is. I'm almost clueless, blind to the facts that I can't react to the situation like I should in fact. Making these late night trips to the candy store. Little brother Joey ain't recognizing me anymore. A penny for my thoughts is not enough. Counting up the sense of the change is not adding up. I've had enough. Pondering this self-destruct. So far my life's been stuck, so I let it all abrupt. I've had enough. Pondering this self-destruct. So far my life's been stuck, so I let it all abrupt. I've had enough. Pondering this self-destruct. So far my life's been stuck, so I let it all abrupt.